Eric DeGatti here from One Human Performance, and today we're going to talk about injury risk. Over the last few years in our industry, I've noticed a huge rise in the amount of injury prevention programs being offered. Now, when we talk about injury prevention, it's a little bit tricky because there is no way you can totally prevent injuries. Personally, I worked myself in the NFL for many, many years where the injury risk is almost 100%. I cannot stop big fat guys from rolling into your ankles or getting a helmet into your knee. Those things are inevitable and they're part of the job. But there are certain things that we can hopefully eliminate any things that may be risk factors, and we can minimize the likelihood of injury, but we cannot completely avoid and prevent injuries because there's too many factors involved that are not just structural, but also physiological, mental, so forth and so on. So to address this issue, I came up with a great analogy that I like to use when I teach the FMS course, and it talks about how we assess risk. And what I'm going to use here is my morning brew of my favorite Tim Ferriss Titanium tea. Now, if you're a parent like me, anytime you see an open beverage or liquid out on a countertop or on a table, it's going to freak you out a little bit because you know it's only a matter of time before that gets knocked over and you have a spill on your hands. So if we look at this cup here, if it's right in the middle of the table, I'm not too worried about it, but the closer that this gets to the edge, the higher the risk that we have, okay? So it's not to say that if I have this in the middle of the table that I cannot have a spill. If we have a busy day in here and we have people going back and forth, this is very likely to get knocked over, even though it's in a relatively safe place. At the same time, I could put this right on the very edge and it could go the entire day without getting spilled. That doesn't mean that this isn't a higher risk, we just had a lucky day. So when I look at it and reference it into the FMS, we could say that this would be kind of like a 3. A 3 meaning it's in a good safe place, I see no inherent risk, but it doesn't mean it can't get knocked over and have a spill. As I get a little closer to the edge, it's something I want to be aware of. It's a little bit higher risk than when it was in the middle, but I'm not going to lose a whole lot of sleep over it. As this thing gets right at the edge here, that's when I start to worry. I can't guarantee that that's going to spill, but the risk was way higher than when it was here. So if we look at it and break it down from a 3 to a 2 to a 1, we can get a better idea using this analogy of how we look at risk, especially using the scoring in the FMS, to say we're not eliminating injuries or we're not guaranteeing that you're not going to get injured or that you are going to get injured. We're just looking at what is your likelihood and how we're going to try to minimize that.